Hello, my name's Charlie Patterson. I'm 27 years old and I'm going to be applying for the one-year acting course at the Oxford School of Drama. I'm going to be doing two monologues today. My liege, I did deny no prisoners from Henry IV Part 1 and Ray's speech from Gary Oldman's Nil by Mouth. And one of my favourite films is Martin McDonagh's black comedy In Bruges, and there's a brilliant scene at the end of the second act where Ken, who's played by Brendan Gleeson, is ordered to kill Ray, who's played by Colin Farrell. Ray's killed a child accidentally and he's suicidal. And Ken finds Ray at a children's play area and Ray is framed from behind, and you can see all of the sort of the conflict and the pain and the self-disgust, and then the resolution in Ken's face as he pulls his gun out and he starts to approach Ray, and the music swells and Ken raises his gun, and then suddenly Ray, who is completely oblivious, pulls out his own gun and puts it to his head, and all of Ken's resolution just collapses and he rushes forwards and he stops Ray from killing himself. And the way that Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell just navigate all the emotions of that moment, just sort of the shock and the suspicion and the anger and the grief, I always find completely hilarious and completely heartbreaking at the same time. And I think that's why Martin McDonagh is such a great writer and filmmaker. My liege, I did deny no prisoners, but I remember when the fight was done, when I was dry with rage and extreme toil, breathless and faint, and leaning upon my sword, came there a certain lord, neat and trimly dressed, fresh as a bridegroom, his chin new reaped, showed like a stubble land at harvest home. He was perfumed like a milliner, and twixt his finger and his thumb he held a pouncet box, which ere and anon he gave his nose and tucked away again, who wherewith angry when it came there next, took it in snuff, and still he smiled and talked, and as the soldiers bore dead bodies by, he called them untaught knaves, unmannerly to bring so slovenly unhandsome course betwixt the wind and his nobility. With many holiday and lady terms he questioned me, amongst the rest demanded my prisoners on your majesty's behalf, and I, all smarting with my wounds being cold to be so pestered by a popinjay, out of grief and impatience answered neglectingly, I know not what that he should or he should not, but he made me mad to see him shine so bright and smell so sweet and talk so like a wailing gentlewoman of guns and drums and wounds, God save the mark, and that the sovereignest thing on earth was parmacetti for an inward bruise, and that what a pity so it was that these villainous saltpetre should be dragged so from the bowels of the harmless earth, which many a good tall fellow had destroyed so cowardly, and that were it not for these vile guns, he would himself have been a soldier. With this bald, disjointed chat of his, my lord, I answered neglectingly, as I said, and I beseech you, let not his report come current for an accusation between my love and your high majesty. Yeah, you know, she brought his dinner to him once, my mum, in the pub, you know, sort of plonked it down in front of him on a tray, sort of knife and fork and salt and pepper and all that. And he said, what's that? She said, it's your dinner, you know. Thought you might be hungry, you haven't eaten for 3 fucking days. You know? You live here, you might as well fucking eat here, you know. No, he didn't like that, you know. Mugged him up in front of his mates. Cared more about those cunts than he did us. Yeah, she got a clump for that, you know. Well, she would, wouldn't she? Yeah. No, he was always pissed in there. I mean, you know, when we come into the pub, it's because, you know, we've got to make our living. That's where we do our business. But he'd just be spunking out. We'd be sitting at home without a dinar, you know. Thanks. And he promised us things, you know. I promised to take us places. He never took us anywhere. When he did bother to come back to the house, he'd just sit in that fucking chair, you know, doss off with the tray on his lap, and I'd stand there just sort of looking at him, you know. I'd look at his face, and then Mum would go upstairs, and I'd say to her, you know, Mum, ain't Daddy coming to bed? And she said, no, it's it's all right, son, you know, he'll come up when he wakes up. Like, you know, he's got to wake up to go to bed, you know. And I'd just stand there looking at this old fucking man, you know, my dad, in that chair, a horrible fucking chair with the worn out arms. I should have burnt that fucking thing. Yeah. Now by the end, it was hemorrhaging, you know, both ends. Me and my mum, we had to go see him in the hospital, and we walk in. He's laying there in bed with the tubes up his arms, back of his Gregory. You know, he don't look well. Fucking vodka was keeping him alive. And I'm not that interested, so I have a mooch about, and I look above his bed, and there's this sign with sort of weird writing on it, and I didn't read so good back then, so I said to my mum, you know, what's that say? You know, that sign above Daddy's bed? And she said, nil by mouth. You know, and what the fuck does that mean? You know, is that like a football score or something, like 1-0, 3-0, you know, some geezer called fucking nil, and no, you know, it means, you know, like nothing to eat, like, you can't, you know, nothing, yeah. And I always remember that, and I thought that was funny, you know, because I could have put that on his fucking tombstone, yeah, because I don't remember one kiss, one cuddle, nothing, you know. Plenty went down, nothing came back up, nothing that was any fucking good. I was just staring at this man I called Dad. You know, he was my father. I called him Dad. He was my fucking dad, right? But he wasn't like other kids' dads. You know, it's like the word itself was enough. You know, and it ain't.